How does manifesting work for perfectionists? That's exactly what we're talking about today on Mindful Manifesting. You're listening to Ariana Rollins. But before we dive in, if you've enjoyed this show, I'd be so grateful if you do a review wherever you are listening to the show, whether it's Apple Podcast or Spotify. It really helps me get into more ears. That sounds funny. And yeah, it's one of my passions to spontaneously just record these episodes when something comes to me. And if you have followed human design at all, probably makes sense because I have the human design of a manifester and the profile is a 6-2. So it's a potent combination and I'm trying to work with it. All right, let's dive in. So one of the things that I really admire about perfectionists, they're my favorite kind of people because they have a care. They have a care for quality, attention to detail, and they are refiners. They are making the world a better place. Perfectionists are. And you might think, well, no, because I drive my family crazy. I drive my spouse crazy. My children can't stand it that I'm a perfectionist. Well, hold your horses. We're going to talk about that. Because being a perfectionist does not mean that everybody else has to care for your attention to detail and do it exactly as you want. That might be another episode, but maybe we'll weave into that today. So how does manifesting work for perfectionists or recovering perfectionists? Well, I think there's two ways to go with this, with manifesting. One is having vivid detail, which a perfectionist would, vivid detail about what you want. So it could, and this is a great story to outline this example. So I was working with a client a long time ago, 15 years ago it seems. She ended up becoming one of my best friends. Well, she was wanting to move. She had recently moved into Northern California area. And she had just, landing place, rented a room, and it wasn't going so well. The roommate and all of that, it was not harmonious to say the least. And so she was looking for a new place. So she and I started working together. And I walked her through the exercises that I teach in Mindful Achiever, my book. Yeah, it is. It's like a little course, actually, guys. Like for $14, you get a whole course and you get audios and you get forms that'll walk you through things step by step. So we're walking through what she wanted. And she was very detailed. And I know and love this best friend. She's a detailed kind of gal. If I could borrow her brain and how she organizes her computer and her home, I would love it. But that's not where my perfectionism comes in. We'll talk about that because we're not perfectionists across the board. Usually it's an area or two where it is super important to us. That's why we're perfectionists. Okay, so I was working with her, and as we created this future memory, or it could also be called an endpoint success image. It's an image of what it's going to look and feel like when you achieve and accomplish your desired manifestation, your intention, your objective. And I'll never forget it. She had such vivid detail. She had at the front door, I can't remember right or left, but there would be a rose bush. And that's the one that I remember because it was so perfect. That's interesting. But she had the place in detail of her next home. She wanted to move out, being a roommate with a not harmonious roommate. So she contacted me, I can't remember, maybe it was about a month, because usually the Mindful Achiever objectives, which I walk through in the book, last about a month, 30 days or less. And there's a real reason why. Because when we start looking at things that are going to take longer than 30 days, usually that means that we've tried before, we haven't been successful, or it's big. big, 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 and may feel impossible. So then we say, 90 days, 6 months. And it gets out of that playful desire. 30 days, we can play at anything for 30 days. But when we're committing 90 days, 6 months, whoa, it's got to be right? And those are the things that we can get ourselves tripped up on. That's why I taught the ladder workshop a couple weeks ago, because it was taking that big, big, big objective and then breaking it down into bite-sized pieces, which is what we do in the Mindful Achiever book. Bite-sized pieces so that you get traction. You feel successful. Your unconscious mind doesn't go into, woo, fear, panic. It's too big, too big. We failed before. We can't do it. It says, yeah, I got this. Oh, this is easy. This is just climbing on the next rung of the ladder. So she contacted me and said, hey, can we have a quick chat? I said, yeah, absolutely. She said, you're not going to believe it. I said, what? She says, well, I found a perfect place to move. And it's a situation where the people are traveling and I'm staying in their home. It's gorgeous. And guess what? There's a rose bush right next to the door. And she said, I had my boyfriend take a picture of it because it was like, how could this happen? This is like impossible. Now, she has a high attention to detail, and she used that high attention detail to manifest exactly what she wanted, piece by piece by piece. And it happened. But what if someone, we're talking about manifesting here, they are a perfectionist, but they're a little hesitant. They've got some doubt about their objective, their desire, their intention. Well, what I suggest, there are a couple ways to do that, is that you have it. This one doesn't work so well for me, but I'm going to describe it to you guys, is you have kind of the territory that you want. So for her, go back to her example of moving, is that she would focus on the emotions, how she wanted to feel. No detail at all. Just the state of walking into her perfect home to live in. Now, for people who are detailed, that could be hard. But I invite you to turn up the volume of the emotions and tune into, and that's actually a question in the Mindful Achiever process, is how will you feel? Project out. You've accomplished it. What's it like? Yes, we can go into relief. Like for her, I can move away from the roommate. But relief is not as desirable as joy, peace, excitement, love, enthusiasm. Those are high vibration emotions. Relief is more a pushing away goal. It's you're moving away from something you don't want. Yes, it can inspire us. It can get us into action, but it's not as magnetic, if I could use that word. It's not as magnetic as using a high vibration emotion to literally pull yourself there. It's not pushing. You get gently pulled magnetically towards your desire, towards your intention, towards your objective. So if we think about it, yes, we can do vivid detail, and I've done that many times. But what I noticed, if I use my perfectionist and use that vivid detail, here is something that can trip you up, is it can sneakily turn from a 5 in difficulty. If you read the book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll describe it if you haven't read it. A 5 in difficulty means it's desirable, feels achievable, not impossible. A 10 in difficulty is a complete different kettle of fish. That's something we work on in the Highest Potential program. A 10 in difficulty means something you've never achieved before. It has a lot of resistance in there, doubt, blocks, fears, a lot of failures from past attempts. So a 10 in difficulty, it's possible, absolutely, but not with the Mindful Achiever method. We're talking about a 5 or 4 in difficulty. So let me give an example. So in the book, I walk through an exercise in detail about looking for my perfect next car, and that I had an idea of what I wanted, the make and model of the car, Subaru Forester. I didn't know how I was going to get it. I think I put in how much miles it had on it. No, I didn't. I put the price in it. I think that was a criteria. And then, this is just amazing how it can happen, is my partner at the time was looking to get a different car, a new car. Actually, he did not. Yeah. He didn't have a car at the time. We were using my car. And he said, well, why don't I get the Subaru? And we'll use, both of us will use it. We'll take it on our trips. I'm like, wow, that's a new way to get a car, isn't it? And it was only, I think it was 4 years old, had a lot of miles on it, but it was the highest end Subaru you could get. It was a touring edition. It was blue and it was fantastic. It just felt like pure luxury. So for me, having that objective, it was a 5 in difficulty because I've had cars before, but I had no idea how I was going to get it. I didn't have vivid detail of me going to the store or at the car dealership, test driving it. I just had me experiencing driving in the car on one of my retreats. I used to love taking long road trips from San Diego to Utah to go skiing. And so that was my state of being. That worked really well because had I put in a lot of vivid detail, it might have not narrowed the scope. What's the word? It's kind of narrowed how it would come to me. So here I am putting the price in there, the miles in there, the experience of the car dealership, and all of that, which I did have an example because I've bought cars before at dealerships. But this one, if I recall correctly, I had a little bit in there, but it was more what was going to be possible for my life when I got the new Subaru Forester. Because I was driving, it was a Camry. I did not like the Camry at all. It didn't have pickup. It couldn't let me see over other cars. So I really wanted the Subaru Forester. And it's all-wheel drive. You know, you can drive in the snow, you can drive in the rain. You feel safe. And you can see over other cars. So our objectives may come from a place we never thought about before. Never could have imagined. Like my client who became my best friend. She didn't think of being a house sitter, and she got to live in this gorgeous place. Wasn't that an interesting way? And then she did that again and again. She was a house sitter. So narrowing where something can come from is not ideal because you'd be happy if your objective was, say, to bring in money. You wanted to bring in $10,000 this month, at least. Always use the word at least $10,000. And if you start to say where this money's coming from, you're going to bring on board 2 new clients, or you're going to sell your group program, or you're going to, I don't know where money would come from. But what if instead, at the end of the month, you had this urge to go buy a lottery ticket. And as you looked at the numbers, it was a winner and it was $10,000. Would you say no to that? So narrowing where it comes from is not a good idea. Having vivid detail and connecting emotionally to what's going to change in your life and how you'll feel when you accomplish it, that can be brilliant. But don't narrow it, especially if you're a perfectionist. Don't narrow it like this is where the money's coming from. This is exactly what it's going to look like. Because you want to give the universe, source, God, infinite intelligence, the widest scope possible to help you bring that to you. Wouldn't you agree? So don't look at how it's going to happen or where it's coming from. How or where is not your business. What is your business? That desire is your business. And how you're going to feel is your business. Let everything else come as it will. So I started this episode about perfectionism and how it can be a wonderful resource, a wonderful way to manifest. But just don't try to be too perfect in where it's coming from or how you're going to make it happen, because it's like you're taking one of those big fire truck hoses, the potential of the universe, potential of your unconscious mind, potential of God, source, or using an Abraham Hicks term, vortex, or quantum field, Dr. Joe term. There's all sorts of terms. Everybody wants their own term, don't they? And you're literally turning it into a garden hose. And not even a garden hose at full force. It's got a trickle. So allow yourself to be supported. Allow yourself to receive it in wondrous ways. You will be most happy if you don't restrict yourself in that way. So as we start to wrap up your manifestation, connect with what you want, why you want it, not from an away from goal, but if that's where you need to start, you could start there. But from mostly desire, what's going to change in your life? How are you going to feel when you're celebrating that? And when you write out your endpoint success image, if you get the book, Mindful Achiever, goes into detail how to write that out and how to memorize it into reality. It's so awesome and so easy. You'll love this exercise. Memorize it into physical reality. So yes, be detailed there and how you're going to feel. That's rocket fuel. That emotional charge is a manifesting superpower. Not just taking the analytical part of our brain of what it is we want and all that detail, but bring it into the body, my friends, bring it into the heart. How will your life change? Hope you enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed recording it. And progress doesn't have to be perfect. Making progress is exactly what I'm on about, because with progress, you feel good about your journey. You feel good that you're making changes, you're accomplishing things. Doesn't have to be perfect. Don't try to leap to the top of the ladder. And if you missed the ladder workshop, I'll put the link here because you can get the replay. It was a good one. It was really enjoyable. And you can get that completely free. I'll put the link in the show notes. All right. Thanks for listening, and share the episode with a friend or do a review. I'd love that. Remember, as you confirm yourself, you chart your own path to success. So much love, many blessings. Bye for now.